Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion approached him and appealed to him, saying, "Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed, suffering dreadfully." He said to him, "I will come and cure him." The centurion said in reply, "Lord, I am not worthy to have you enter under my roof. Only say the word and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man subject to authority, with soldiers subject to me. And I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes, to another, 'Come here,' and he comes, and to my slave, 'Do this,' and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed and said to those following him, "Amen, I say to you, in no one in Israel have I found such faith. I say to you, many will come from the east and the west, and will recline with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at the banquet in the kingdom of heaven." The Gospel of the Lord. If you could use your imagination a little bit and see this vivid picture described in very few words. A centurion, clad with armor, a sword at his side, probably a dagger in his belt. He commands 100 men of the Roman army. These are men who obey him so quickly that they will die in battle if he orders it, and he himself not afraid to go into battle, risking his own life. He is a centurion of the world power at the time. Armies tremble before him. He goes into town with his 100 men, and people shudder and are frightened. Now this guy addresses Jesus, and he says to him, "Lord." Now that doesn't sound like much to us, but what he does is he immediately says to Jesus, "I know you are much bigger than me." He has respect without even realizing the army that he doesn't see and all the angels and saints. But somehow he perceives that Jesus has this authority. Now Jesus extends to him this great gift. He says, "I will come and cure him." And the centurion again says, "Lord, I'm not worthy to have you enter under my roof." Those words should sound familiar to you. I'm not worthy. So here he is again, this centurion of the Roman army, saying that he is not worthy. That is amazing in what's going on in this story. It reminded me when I was praying over this and meditating, and I was thinking how gracious this centurion was that Jesus would do this for him. How totally selfless this centurion was by calling Jesus the Lord, completely recognizing the majesty of who Jesus was. And I started to have this opposite picture in my mind. I had a recollection of an incident that I was witness to at a Christmas party where a little child threw a temper tantrum because this child did not get what they wanted for Christmas. threw a fit because this is not what I wanted for Christmas. This child, totally oblivious to the fact that the parents were not completely economically stable, and what this child received was very generous compared to their financial situation. But the child had no clue of the beauty of what their parents were offering. No clue. During the time of Advent, it's good for us to recognize Jesus is Lord and what he has to offer us. And even the words of the centurion we can embrace instead of tossing aside, and it's not just Christmas gifts, but instead of tossing aside the graces Jesus is offering us, even in times of struggle and pain. We toss aside things so quickly. We don't want what he wants to give us. We want what we want instead. But this centurion, this very powerful man, he says, Lord, I'm not worthy that you should come under my roof. And the church says, but if you say the word, I will be healed. Now, this is an invitation, no longer about a centurion, but it's an invitation for everybody who reads the gospel to be personally attached to Jesus. He wants to touch your soul. You may not get what you want, but he will touch your soul. And ultimately, this is a gift that leads to everlasting life. Later on in the gospel, St. Matthew would say, why should you strive to gain everything material, but lose your life in the process? What does it matter that we don't always get what we want when Jesus wants to touch our soul and give us heaven?
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam